Hey everyone! The final step in solving a Rubik's Cube is permuting the last layer, and in this video I'm going to show you how I learned full PLL. So once you finish the OLL stage, your cube can be in one of 22 possible combinations, and here they are right here. Of course, one of the 22 is a solved case, which is brilliant, and all of us jump up and down and go, PLL skip, woohoo! And that's that. Having learned the beginner's method, I already knew the U's permutations and I knew the two A's. I must say that for the U, the first time that I learned how to do it, I had a kind of weird way that involved doing like starting with an F2 and ending with an F2, which was very inconvenient. And I actually had this for quite a while. It took a while until I learned an alternate method of doing it. So here is UA and here is UB. And the method which I used is one that I learned from JPerm that uses M2 moves. There is also an RU move, a way of doing it, which is actually how I do it if I do it OH, and the more common way that people do it, which is like that. But the way that I do it involves M moves, and that's just this. And then of course the two A's. The A's are really easy as well. They require a bit of a regret, but they're not too bad. The only one regret I had when I was learning this was not learning how to do the D2 flicks with like pinky, ring and pinky. And so as you can see, I do it sort of like that. I'm not too slow at it, but I sort of wish that I'd started learning it the right way. I'm not too bad with my right hand with doing D2s using my rinky and my pinky. So like that, you can't really see that over there, but like that. Doing D2s like that. Anyway, that's something that I sort of wish that I started out doing correctly. JB was a really easy one. The JB is, well, I mean, the JB perm is probably one of everyone's favorite perms. That was pretty great. And of course, once you know the JB, you also realize that that covers the T perm, because the T perm and the JB are almost exactly the same. You just start at a different point. So that was the T perm done. And then of course, I then realized that that completely covered Y as well. Y is just like the J and the JB perm and the T perm. It's a bit of a longer perm than all the others, but it's a really, really nice perm. So that was that. Later I also realized that the F and the NA are also variations on JB, but I learned that a little bit too late, which was sad, but hey, that's life. The H and the Z were very, very fun perms to do. So it's a H perm and a Z perm. Of course, you can tell based on like opposite colors. And here having adjacent colors. They were both really, really fun to do. And I remember just really enjoying doing like lots of M moves and U moves. I did get them mixed up a lot. Like I would do the H to the Z or the Z to the H because they were just easy to mix up. But eventually I found that if I just sort of learn a bit of a pattern to it, like a bit of a rhythm to it, that really helped. So H's are a lot shorter and H's had a bit of a pattern of like, I sort of like verbalized this. It was like da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And that was sort of my way of learning it. And the rhythm of the Z was 2-1-2-1 and then so on and so forth. So it was da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And that's just how I remember to do it. So H was like 2-1-2-2 and Z was a 2-1-2-1. RA and RB are both also very similar perms and quite easy to recognize. RB was probably the one that I learned first. The RB of course is that. And because I learned that pretty well, I just ended up learning sort of like the lefty version of the RB and applying to the RA. I know there's another way of doing it that involves rotating it this way and then doing like RUD moves, but I just learned it like left-handed, and that was really nice too. So I'm pretty used to that, with millions of lockups. JA was another really straightforward PLL, and the most common way that people do it, of course, is this way. But I actually ended up learning another way of doing it. I can't remember how, but it's this way. So it involves sort of starting with a bit of a regrip, doing that. And I don't know, I really like it. My daughter does lefty JBs to this for JA, so she does it left-handed, which I can do as well, but just not as fast. I'm not really sure why she prefers that, but hey. The F perm and the V perm and the E perm were three that I started off learning the really inconvenient, like dodgy algorithm, and later had to relearn better ways of doing it. I really regret doing that. Fortunately, now that I know the new ways, I actually have completely forgotten the old way of doing it, but I really suggest getting it right the first time. But the F algorithm was just a bit of a variation on the J, the JB. So you just start with an R prime, U prime, and F prime. Hang on, let's say JB, I think I should have said T. Anyway, T perm from here. And then right at the end, you just end with RU, U again, and then V perm, the V perm's the V perm, Don't like it. It's the only PLL that has like a cube rotation within it, but whatever. So yeah, like I said, I had a really weird way of, when I first learned it, that involved 2 rotations, which is crazy. But anyway, there's just like weird like thumb things that you've got to do with the F, but you know, just drill it and it ends up being okay. And the E perm, the only thing that you need to be able to do with the E perm is Ds and D primes using this. But once you've got that, it actually becomes a really nice perm to do. If I was doing it with like my normal cube, it feels really weird doing it with this one. And that of course leaves the 2 N's and the 4 G's, which were definitely the last ones which I learned. So NA and NB. So the first way that I learned how to do the N perms was doing a Z rotation and then sort of like doing weird stuff. I later found out that you can do the NA with just a bit of a starting move, JB, and then an ending move. So the starting move is this, RU, R prime, U, and then do a JB. And then at this point, instead of completing the JB, you just do a U2, and then you insert this pair. You can do the exact same thing with this and just do like a lefty, but I'm just not very fast with this, and so I still do this in my original way, and this is probably my slowest PLL of all. One day I'm probably going to get around to learning a better way of doing it, or just really drilling it, but yep, it doesn't pop up very often, the NB perm, which is also a real danger because when it does, it really affects my time. So I probably do recommend like working on your ends a lot more. All the pro cubers always suggest that, like don't neglect the end perms even though they don't pop up very much. But the way that I do this is that I rotate to the side and then I just do it that way. Very weird, but works for me. And finally, the 4 lovely G perms: GA, GB, GC, GD. The way you recognize them is, well, the way I do it is that I put all the headlights always go on the left, and then A has that bar over there. There's no bar anywhere else. So A's bar is there, B's bar is over there, C's bar is at the very back, and then D's bar is over there. There's so many ways of doing G's. I didn't really like the method that involved doing like wide U's, and so my method just came of J Perm's videos. He had a really nice way of learning it, and I can distinctly remember when I first learned it, just being really confused by them because they were sort of really similar and not. You know how like if you've learned the G perms before, you know that like some of them are completely just like mirror images of the other, or just like inverted of the others, and so the only way that I got to know it is just by drilling it. I literally remember like bringing my kids to a playground, and while they were just playing at the playground, I was safely monitoring them and and just drilling the G perms, just doing them over and over and over and over and over. And so the way that I do them is just the way that J perm does it. So for GA, I do it this way. Oh, with a lot of lockups. Once again, I'm gonna say this is not my normal cube, that's my excuse. JV is this. Amazing corner cutting. GC is probably my slowest G, which I need to work on, but it's like this. And then finally GD, which is my fastest G. And now that I say that, I'm probably gonna do it really slowly, but it's this. That was okay. So that was not only the way that I do my PLLs, but also the order in which I learned them. I don't know if that's necessarily the best order to learn them, but it was the way that was sort of most natural to me. And I guess I would recommend that too, if you're trying to learn full PLL, which you should, because it's the best. And there you have it. I think that learning full PLL took me maybe 3 or 4 months. I wasn't really in a huge rush. I possibly could have done it quicker or maybe even slower, but not having the pressure certainly was really, really nice. And then over time, as I then progressed into getting better F2L algs and full OLL, I just got better and better at the PLLs as I practiced them more and more. I'm gonna finish now by asking my daughter to see if she's got any tips on learning full PLL. I have no idea what she's gonna say. I hope that it will be helpful.
Hi.
Can you remember how you learned full PLL?
No.
Do you remember having any difficulties learning any of your PLLs? Which ones?
Mainly the N perm.
Yeah.
I was stuck on that for quite a while.
What tips do you have to help someone who's trying to learn full PLL?
It takes a long time, and just be patient. You can also try to drill them if you want to get faster. I think this is my fastest PLL, and it's my favorite, is the T perm.